Welcome to another episode of Regular Guy Barbecue. So we're not barbecuing today again because it's winter and it's Wisconsin and it sucks. But instead, we got something a little bit special for you. Now, maybe some of you know, maybe some of you don't, that we also not only barbecue, but we also like to dabble in buying things and reselling things, auctions and stuff like that. Well, we went to a storage auction recently, and one of the things that we found in there that we really liked is sitting right here on the table. Now, I don't know if this is the correct brand or not on this sheath, but the knife fits in the sheath, and it's really cool. So, if you take a real close look at this knife, you can see that it's not that close. It's seen better days. It wasn't very well loved. It's got some damage to it and things like that. But I really like it. I think it's cool, and it's something that I kind of want. And I want to have it, and I want to be able to use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a feeble attempt at restoring this knife into something usable. It probably won't be perfect when we're done with it. It might not be as pretty as somebody else's knife, but that's okay. You know, we just want something usable. And let's face it, here at Regular Guy Barbecue, as you guys all know, we like to save money when we can. If I can get this thing into nice condition and something that we can use, I maybe have 50 cents involved in it. No big deal. All right. So, let's get to it, shall we? First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this knife apart. Now, I've already had it disassembled once, and I can't do it again because my hands hurt. There we are. So you can get a little closer look at some of the things that have been neglected on this knife. Alright, not that close. You always with the close. You think you got to be close.
I'm a good view.
Close! Poke you in the eyes. Alright, so you take a look at that handle. You can see that handle's been used and abused. It's in pretty rough shape. And there's rust on it because, like, again, it wasn't well loved and it wasn't taken care of. But everything's there. You know, the blade isn't cracked or anything like that. So all the usable parts are there. Everything will work. So I think the first thing we're going to try to tackle is this handle. Now, again, as you can see, maybe you can in the video. Can you see in the viewer there? Yeah. See those cracks that are in there? Obviously, that's not going to hold up very good. So my thought process, knowing so little about finishing wood, is that we try to glue these back together, and we're going to clamp them up, try to tighten that wood up a little bit, and make it a little more solid. Alright, so we'll show you what that looks like once we get the glue in. Alright, so we've put the glue into our handle, and we're using just a carpenter's wood glue. You can buy anywhere, wood glue. See?
No!
And
no button.
And we've also, so you can see there, we put the glue in there. And we've used these spring-loaded locking clamps. And my hope to this, at least, and again, I'm no expert at this, so don't, you know, if I screw this up, it's obvious because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We've squeezed it with these locking clamps to try to push the cracks together and get the glue down in there. Well, I use my finger to rub the glue down in there. I don't want to show you all that because it's boring. So we're going to let that dry probably overnight, see how that goes. In the meantime, we're going to address some of this metal. Hello, metal.
I thought we were dressing it up.
Oh, go get the baby clothes. Yeah, no. So as you can see, there's some finish problems. Obviously, there's some rust, and there's some pretty big gouges out of the front of the blade. They're the sharp part. So we're going to try to clean some of that up and eventually polish it and put a new edge on the blade and everything like that. Since I really don't know a lot about, you know, I can paint a car, but I have no idea what I'm doing with this. So we bought a couple of things at our local cheap hardware store. This is a polycarbonate abrasive wheel. It's supposed to remove rust and paint and stuff like that. And you can put that in your drill. We've got a brush of some kind here that we bought a while back. We're going to try that. And then we've also got these here. These are like stainless steel wire brushes. So we've got a couple of choices that we can chuck up on our drill. Chuck up. To try to take some of that rust off and make that a little bit better. Now, another thing that I've just noticed here is the tang, if you will, or the bolt that goes through the handle. It holds it all together. I guess that's called a tang. The tang's what we used to drink in grade school. Next to the glass, orange flavored. The astronauts drank it. No. I noticed it's got a little bend in it. See how it, I don't know if you can really picture that or not. Maybe I'll put it this way. You can kind of see that. It's got a little bend to it. Not a significant bend. Nothing that really affects the way it turns out. However, I want it to be as nice as it can be without me completely destroying it. So I'm probably going to take that out to my workshop outside and either chuck that in the vise or put it on the anvil and just give it a little love tap and try to straighten that out. Otherwise, we're going to attack some of this rust by using one of our new things that we bought here and try to get some of that rust off. See if we can make a little bit of shiny to it. Okay? All right. So you can kind of see, we've been using this wire brush for a little bit here, and it's getting the rust off for the most part. We're probably going to have to find something a little bit in the middle between that crazy polycarbonate thing. That thing's crazy. Just, yuck, look what it did to my hand. Yeah. And between the wire wheel and that, to find something that's going to give us the results we're looking for. Again, this is lightening it up. Maybe I got to get more aggressive on it. I've been taking it kind of slow here because we got a bunch of things that we're doing at the same time down here. So, yeah, we'll keep working on this and we'll kind of show you what it looks like when we're done. We bought a bench grinder and we put a brush on it already, so we're ready to deal with that. And as you can see, we've already started on some of this. Look at the difference in the finish. Now, we're still going to have some pitting and rust holes and things like that that we're probably never going to get out of there. But we're going to take off on this thing and try to get this done. Alright, so you can see we're not going to get all the pits out of this thing, because some of them did sink in right there, but that's alright. We're going to run a polish across this before we're done, take out some of the staining and things like that. In the meantime, if you look closely, you can see how dinged up that blade is. It's in pretty rough shape. Now, a lot of guys, I shouldn't say guys, because people.
Human beings.
A lot of human beings will take this to this grinder, and they'll do that. With my limited eyesight, my inability to hold things still because I shake so bad and whatever reasonings, I don't want to do that because I don't want to destroy this blade or glue it and things like that. I just ain't gonna have that thing get ruined. So instead, what I've got over here is a knife sharpener. Now, I've never used this thing before. I assume it goes in like that, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to use this knife sharpener, and we're going to try to use this to reestablish our blade edge. And we fine tune it and polish it and things like that as we go along. But we're going to try it on here and see what we can do. it's just too cold to work outside in the garage. You know, as you can see, the blade's coming along pretty good. We started working on the edge on the grinder, got it down to an okay finish. We brought the sharpener in. We're gonna use that to continue to work the blade. One other piece I forgot to polish. I'm gonna take that outside and do that quick. Early in the video you saw that the handle we had was cracked and all that kind of stuff. We put the glue on, we let it dry overnight. A lot of the cracks sucked up a little bit. They're not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. So I think what we're gonna do is we'll take this and we're gonna hand sand this to get the excessive glue off, straighten all that up. I think I'm gonna put a little wood filler in there just to smooth out those rough edges like on this crack right here, just to make that kind of rounded and make it nice. And then we're probably gonna paint this. I thought about trying to restain it and all this and that and everything. And let's face it, the smallest can of stain you can buy is probably way too much for this thing. And I'm probably never going to use it again. So I think I'm just going to smooth it out. Maybe leave that little wisdom mark in the wood just because I like it. It'll feel good when I get this knife done. Yeah, so we're going to finish this off by sanding it. I'm just going to hand sand it with probably some 240 grit, something like that. Finish that off, paint it, finish off the edge on the blade, get that sharpened. Then we're gonna, if we get another nice day, or semi-nice day, we've got a polishing wheel for the grinder out in the garage. We'll show you what that looks like when we get it installed, show you how that's gonna work when we polish this metal up and make it shine again. And then we'll reassemble the knife when everything's all ready and show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, this is the next segment of the knife restoration. Alright, so you can see, if you look closely at this handle, for example, we've done a little sanding on it after we glued it up, and cracks pretty much sealed up. There's one or two that I'd like to have had a little more in the front there, if you can kind of see those, that I'd like to have had filled in a little better. But it's in pretty good shape overall, pretty smooth, so it should serve our purposes. I am leaving this there's a little hole right there, if you will. I don't know if you can see that real good in the camera, but I'm going to leave that there as sort of a beauty mark, just because I can. Now, as far as the blade and the metal stuff goes, take a close look at the blade here. I'll try to zoom in. You can see we've been using our knife sharpener, automatic knife sharpener, and it ain't quite got the blade where we want it, but it's getting close. You can see that most of the big nicks, focus. Most of the big nicks have been taken out and whatnot. Still a few spots we got to work on, but we're gonna continue to work on that after we do the polishing. We're going to take our handy dandy bench grinder there that we've showed earlier in the video, and we're going to switch it over to a polishing wheel. We'll show you that once we get it done. Alright, here we go. No, we don't. We do. Yeah, we're recording. Okay. Here's the next step in the knife restoration. Alright, so you can see there we've got a buffing wheel on. And I didn't put the guards back on, and the reason I'm not putting the guards back on is these things, when you're using these buffers and these compounds that go with it, in my limited experience doing things like this, is they tend to build up on the wheel and they get slung pretty hard. So my thought process is I'm just going to use it with the guard off, put my glasses on, be safe, make a mess, see what we can do. So we've got 4 different compounds that we're going to be using. We're going to start with this brown one, looks like a Twix bar. That's for taking out imperfections and metals and things like that. So we're going to use that to try to get some of the rust and stains that we couldn't get out with the wire wheel. Then we've got our other colors here. The black one's for coarse to get out scratches. The white is for fine polish. And then the red is more for like golds and things like that. So we're going to give this a swing, see what we can come up with, and show you what it looks like when we're done. Right, so as you can see, what I had anticipated happened. Take a look at that. All that crud got thrown around all over the place by that polisher. And I expected that to happen, which is why I left the guard off, because it makes a mess. And I didn't want to have all that mess crammed up inside that guard. So that we can have a little time. We got to throw away over there even. A little easier time cleaning that up. So as you can imagine, with some of the pitting and the rusting and things on this blade, it didn't come out quite as clean as we had expected. But let's face it, I didn't expect there to be a brand new knife here. I'd be kind of foolish if I did. But it's a lot cleaner than it was. All the rust is gone. It's going to look halfway decent, but the most important thing is it's going to function the way we want it to. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take it back in the house because it's too damn cold out here. And I'm gonna finish polishing it by hand just to get all the crud off of it and whatnot and take care of that business. In the meantime, we're out here. I decided to use a flat black on the handle, mostly because that's the color I had in the cabinet. And yeah, it's like 30 degrees out today, so the chances of our spray paint drying, you know, take our risks. Anyway, we're gonna get that done. We'll get the hand polishing done, get everything cleaned up out here. We'll do that inside the house. Show you what we got once we get in there. So this project has taken a little longer than I kind of hoped. And unfortunately, this knife was a little farther gone than I'd wanted it to be. And, you know, to be honest with you, it's not something we're ever going to make perfect. But as you can see, we've gotten most of the rust and the crud and the things off of it. There's some nicks in it we're never going to get out of it. We've sharpened the blade down pretty far. We're not as far as we need to go, but we're getting there pretty far. But the important thing to remember is this project wasn't so much as far as a restoration for any sort of value or anything like that. This project was meant to make a working piece. Will you be quiet? Goddamn thing makes too much noise. Anyway, it's not a project that we're going to try to get any monetary value out of. We're making a usable tool out of this.
You guys like his hat, by the way?
You going to start on my hat already?
Nobody questions.
There's no political affiliation with anything involved. I look at it this way. I'm going to make it real simple. It's meant to be a joke. Okay. If you find humor in it, great. If you don't find humor in it and are offended by it, I'm sorry.
Hold your head still so they can read.
Okay. It's literally meant to poke fun at both sides because I think both sides are wrong, but we're not going to get
That's all we're saying.
So, what we're going to do next is we're going to take some polish. So this is a chrome polish made by a brand of Ninja type, anyway, teenage, yeah. So what this will do is this is a rust remover and a chrome polish. We're going to use this to try to shine this knife up a little bit more. And usually what I'll do is I'll use a hand polisher to do this, and I've done this on like professional wrestling title belts and restorations and those things I've done. It's not going to be perfect. This knife isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be functional, and we're getting very close to that point. But we do want to make it a little prettier. So literally, it's just a hand polisher, a little shake, and we're literally just going to put a little bit of this on here, or not. There it is.
I was waiting for it to be a lot.
Yeah. Well, it makes a mess. I've done this with a machine. I used to do cars with this stuff, and it can make a mess if you're not dressed properly. And, you know, a lot of this stuff we would be doing outside with probably more power tools and having a little more success like we tried to do with the grinder and things outside with the bench grinder. It's just too cold. I just can't work out there. Anyway, so you'll see I'm going to do this for a while. I'm not going to show you 2 hours of doing this because you would turn the channel off and be bored to tears.
That'll be a live stream.
Yeah, you'd probably unsubscribe to the channel. So we're not going to do that. But you will see as I rub this stuff on, you can see that there's dirt coming off on the pad, and that's removing some of the rust and the cruds and the things that are left behind. And again, we're not going to look for a mirror finish out of this. We're just looking to clean it up a little bit and make it a little more functional. And we are very close to having a functional knife to use for our channel and for barbecue and stuff. So it'll look decent, and we'll go from there. So tune back in, and we'll show you what it looks like when we're done doing this part. We're probably gonna once we get it finished to this part where I'm content with as much as we can do with the hand polishing, I'm probably gonna reassemble the knife and then do a final sharpening on it with our machine that I showed you earlier. So stick around. Okay, gang. So here we are. We put the knife back together after polishing it, and again, like I said, it's never going to be a perfect knife. That's okay. We're not worried about perfect. We're just worried about having functionality. And you can see we've gotten virtually all the dings and nicks out of the blade. There's 1 or 2 little spots that I'm going to do by hand. I'm not going to use the machine for those, just to get that edge razor sharp so we can use that again. But you can see how much better this knife looks. If you go back to the beginning of the video, you can see how horrible shape this thing was in. And it's a nice knife. It's got good balance to it. We're going to use this when we do some cooking in the future. This will be either a carving knife or a mixing knife, or God knows what else I can do with this. But it's got a nice sheath that we can put on our belt. Functionality is everything. Take a look at that. That'll just hang right there, and we'll have a nice cooking knife at the ready to use when we cook. So that's about all we got for you, gang. A little something you can maybe hopefully build on. Again, none of this stuff is real hard to do. you can find something like this at a garage sale or at an auction, or be like us and maybe find it in a store or two. You're not going to be out anything if you screw it up, and if you screw it up, just unscrew it. That's what you do with
Make sure you don't have your screws loose at all times.
If your screw's a little loose like mine is, sometimes it takes a little more, but that's what's up. Anyway, point of this whole video is to show you don't be afraid to take on a project that you're not used to, because you can do anything with success to a point. And then you can enjoy yourself doing it. Maybe learn a little bit, and get a new trade. Who knows? You might find something you love to do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'd really love to have you guys as part of our channel. Mash that like button if you don't like it. And if you don't like the video, hit it 2 times for the down. Okay? Give us 2.
Tell us why you don't like it.
Tell us why you don't like it. Give us the, we'll know. Anyway, notification button. Make sure it says all, so you know each and every time we come on and give you a new video. Thanks for joining us. We're getting closer and closer to 100 subscribers. When we do, there's going to be a giveaway, so stay tuned.